Hey, Pusher. What up? Hey, Pusher. What up? Hey, Pusher.
Just realizing after many months of not opening my practice hack, it doesn't work anymore on Nintendo. But it looks like the rest of the stuff is working. It's just a practice hack for some reason. That doesn't really matter, 'cause I'm pretty sure all I'm doing.
와코 와보 소로이 파티고 소로 바다사 고고고된 더더피나 불게 너너그 하하비세 마티티 토토토토토 토호 커브랑크 타판타토 오로나사토 모네모 탁탁했죠 마이티 모티키 노로고 소디디디 토헤나 누나 도르핀
Okay, so our racers are still getting their games all set up, but we should be starting the race shortly in just a few minutes here, hopefully, once both of them have verified that set C is working.
Let's go.
All right, hello everyone. Welcome to the first match of the Pikmin 2 Payoff Debt Tournament. Woo! Today we got Teddy Yoshi versus tcbtrio. And on commentary we have Jaming and Kemi.
Hello.
Hey everyone.
And it looks like everyone's all set up and ready to go. So, you ready for a countdown, everyone?
Yes,
Can
we are.
we leave VC?
Yeah, you guys have VC once we start the race here.
Okay.
Alright. And we are starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
All right.
Cool. So we're getting started here. I guess just at the beginning, we should probably say that this is a set seed race. So if you're not familiar with what that is, it means that both of the runners are going to have exactly the same cave layouts here. So there's going to be some small things that are different, like, you know, what drops from eggs and stuff like that. But whenever they go into a cave, they should see exactly the same layout.
Provided everything's working properly, which that's the hope.
Yeah, that's the hope. We always have a little bit of trouble getting set seed set up, but we did verify that it's working beforehand, so hopefully no weird happenings will occur.
I've been sitting here for like 20 minutes and I just realized that I'm wearing my Bull Black's Kingdom t-shirt right now. Like
That's
as
a
the
good
countdown
t-shirt.
started. It's a
I
really
need
good
one of those.
t-shirt.
So going into day 1 extinction, it looks like Teddy had a little bit of trouble getting one Pikmin out. TCB's moving along smoothly though.
So yeah, day 1 extinction. Teddy's missing the clip a little bit here as well. Ooh, that's definitely gonna be a bit of time loss here. There we go. So yeah, day 1 extinction, pretty cool trick. Basically, instead of having to play through day 1, which is really long, and instead what you do is you clip your Pikmin out of bounds to make them die, and that allows you to go into day 2, and even though you don't have any Pikmin, it's faster to raise stuff up through the next couple of days as opposed to playing through all the way through day 1 and having to watch a bunch of cutscenes.
Exactly, yeah. So it doesn't really skip anything per se, but it does allow you to play all the tutorial stuff in a different order than normal. So it like moves the onion over to the ship, so you can grow Pikmin more easily. It allows you to end the day. It allows you to like switch captains and stuff like that a little bit earlier. And you get an opportunity to skip some otherwise unskippable cutscenes. Because of the unusual circumstances. And most importantly, it allows you to collect Courage Reactor, the big battery that you're normally forced to collect, much later in the run. So you can do that with White Pikmin later on.
Yeah, and what that does is whenever you collect your first above ground treasure in the Valley of Repose area, it instantly ends the day. But since we aren't going to be collecting that treasure until a fair bit later into the run, we have more time to just really work on getting our Pikmin growth and stuff like that in the early game, and then worry about collecting the treasures more in the late game.
Exactly.
TCB missing the one-shot kill a little bit on the Bulborb, but still ahead of Teddy because of the whole day 1 extinction thing.
Yep. So we're probably going to see the runners go for Louis skip here. This is an otherwise unskippable cutscene that occurs. Oh, TCB's not going for it. This cutscene occurs the first time you approach the red onion as Louis, and it's normally like 19 seconds, I believe, unskippable. But if you end the day at exactly the same time, you can skip it. Actually, looks like neither of the runners are going for it, which is a little bit surprising.
Yeah. I guess, it is safer to not go for it, because if you do mess it up, it is a time loss over just watching the cutscene, because there's actually like an alternate route that we do on day 4 with that cutscene in mind.
Yeah, so I guess to be clear, the cutscene itself is about 19 seconds, I believe, but because of the alternate route you can do, and as well because playing the cutscene out gives you one extra red Pikmin, we kind of estimate that the total time saved from doing Leaf Skip is more like 8 to 9 seconds, something in that order. So it's not quite as significant as like the full 19 seconds of the cutscene.
It's just one of those tricks that it's at the very beginning of the run, so when when you see people actually going and just grinding out runs, they usually go for it just because you may as well. It's like an 8-second time save in like the first 5 minutes of the run, and it doesn't really hurt you that bad. If you miss it, you just go reset.
We take those, as we say. It kind of looks like Teddy has kind of caught up a little bit here. I'm not sure if that's just dolphin loading times or what. Um, but yeah, so it'll definitely be interesting to see how they both sort of approach this part of the run that normally we don't play in races. But of course, it's a tournament format, so we're trying to run the whole run essentially. Some of the later races are going to be a bit different, but we'll get to that when we come to it.
Yeah. To mitigate that, we're running EB patch, which I guess we'll explain later when it actually comes time to do early blues. But just in mind, we do have a patch that is being run for this race just to make it a bit more consistent, so we don't have resets that we have to deal with
Yeah,
as at least as much. Yeah, of course, resets happen. It's Pikmin 2. This game's very, very jank, and it, always wild stuff happens in races. It feels like.
oh, for sure. We just did a sort of a private community race the other day where we got a missing treasure, a very rare missing treasure that's like 1/3%
I will
to
actually,
happen.
I will actually check how likely it is real quick.
I think it's like 0.37% or something like that. So you definitely see some crazy stuff in races. And this is set seed, but the seed wasn't really like curated that much beforehand. So it's entirely possible that we could see some really unusual cave layouts and stuff like that.
Actually 0.29%, even
0.29, wow.
less. Yeah. One funny thing I like to note about that I always observe about the missing treasures in this game is I believe either 2 or 3 of the clip examples for the missing treasures in this game are from VODs of Kaizen playing, which is always something I found somewhat amusing, just as kind of a funny RNG thing.
Going back to our racers here, it looks like TCB actually messed up egg push. So the egg is sort of sitting up on the ledge a little bit. If he's really lucky, he could maybe get a nectar to fall down. But this will... Oh, okay,
Oh, he
that's actually
knocks the
really
egg
clever.
down with a red. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen anyone do that before. Teddy takes his time, gets the egg down like normal though, which is what most runners would do.
See, my personal strat is to just get the egg down first try, so I don't have to worry about throwing the red up. But
Yeah, just don't mess up egg push, forehead.
ooh, ledge nectar.
Oh, ledge
Gotta
nectar. Oh, that's
gotta
really
love it.
unfortunate.
At least it's only one ledge nectar and not double ledge nectar. That would be really sad to happen in a race.
Yep. Yeah, that does happen sometimes where you get the egg all the way down, but then both of the nectars will land up on the ledge where you can't get to them, and most of the time in a PB attempt that would just be a reset. I don't know what a racer would do. You'd probably have to go around and just go up and use one of the eggs that's up on
Yeah,
the hill. That would probably
probably
lose
just go
about
up.
15 seconds or something like that.
Mhm.
Maybe 10, closer to 10.
Uh, Urban asked, did Teddy get Louis skip? Neither player got Louis skip because it's risky.
Yeah. So this is that Louis cutscene that you would otherwise skip with Louis skip. But yeah, so of course you grow this extra Pikmin during the cutscene, which is weird for a cutscene. It's the only cutscene that like does something like that. But that one extra Pikmin, you might think it's kind of insignificant, but that just having one more Pikmin actually saves a lot of time throughout the run. There's a few gates and a few carries for big treasures that will be sped up ever so slightly, and it's about like a second or two for each one of those, and there's a few of them coming up in the first roughly half of the run until we grow blues. So it definitely adds up.
Teddy Ursa also throwing a red up to the ledge nectar while he's waiting for the seeds to germinate. Very, very, very fun.
So we're entering our first cave sublevel here. It's Emergence Cave 1. It's not that interesting. It's usually, you know, just like this.
We get close citrus, which is hype, where the bigger treasure is closer, which is a faster layout, just simply because the big treasure takes longer to carry. So having it be closer to the ship pod means that less time is spent carrying it. Pretty simple math.
Exactly. For those of you in the audience wondering how much time that saves, it's approximately 7 years. Not really a big deal, but you know, you definitely take that.
Yeah.
The real answer is that it's about 4 seconds. I'm glad you're satisfied, Irvin.
Alright, TCB going into Emergence Cave 2. This is the first sublevel where really anything happens, to be blunt, because this is where you first get purples, and purples are the best and worst part of this game.
For sure, for sure. Also the first sublevel you can mess anything up. You can definitely get a lot of Pikmin eaten here, or just miss some bug bodies, activate cutscenes at the wrong time if you're not careful.
That's not true. Cap was doing a run earlier today and he lost a Pikmin on EC1, so...
Well, you can definitely lose Pikmin on EC1 as well, but you have to sort of like grossly misplay EC1 for that to happen. Speak of the devil, there's Cap.
Yeah. He came, he came just in time for us to, name drop him.
So the strat for this sublevel is basically get most of your reds on the globe so you don't have to deal with them, and then run over, start growing your purples, and only pluck 8 to bring back, because that's the amount you need in order to carry the globe as well as the 2 dwarf bulborbs up by the ship. So that sort of saves the time of plucking those extra 2 purples because you don't need them over here. And then you can go pluck them while the globe and the bulborbs are being carried back.
Teddy
It's a slight
plucks
difference,
9,
but-
which is roughly the same because Louis just automatically decided to pluck another one or didn't. It really doesn't make a difference that much. One purple leaf on a carry is like such a minuscule difference in the actual amount of time that is spent that it's basically nothing. It is nice because you do get an extra bug body potentially, which is like 3 Pokos, which just means you don't have to worry about bug bodies quite as much. You still do, but... Oh, it's 2 Pokos? Sorry.
Just 2 Pokos, yeah. Like Teddy missed one of the dwarf bulborbs, so that's -2 Pokos. Really not a huge deal, but we'll see how his bug buddy situation sort of evolves throughout the run. See if he's able to catch up somehow.
Who knows, maybe this will be a particular seed that's just very dry on bug bodies, and that could be very unfortunate.
Yeah, that does just happen sometimes. It's really unfortunate, but sometimes you just have to go out of your way to get bugs, and that's how the cookie crumbles.
At least there's the solace in knowing that if Teddy has to deal with really bad bug bodies, TCB will also have to deal with really bad bug bodies because they're running the same seed.
Exactly, yeah.
But anyway, finishing up Valley of Repose 1 now. Now we're heading into Awakening Wood 1, which is really where the run starts to have things happen.
Absolutely. So basically the game plan for the next few minutes is going to be grow a bunch more red Pikmin and take down the main gate in Awakening Wood. Basically just with the goal of getting into Hole of Beasts and then later White Flower Garden afterwards.
Yeah, and also while we're doing that, we'll end up nectaring some of these Pikmin that we raise up as well as the purples, so that way they aren't slow as molasses. continuing into the run. Because surprise, when the Pikmin moves slow, you're not playing very fast. It's kind of crazy how that works. Now
The
it
name of
looks
the game
like
for this split. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
it looks like Teddy has two closer pellet posies over on the side as opposed to TCB, so that might cause a bit of a difference if Teddy ends up missing some of the throws potentially on the pellets.
Absolutely. You'll see.
But
This is
it
one of the
looks
things
pretty
that's
good.
not controlled by the set seed code, is the above ground posy spawns and enemy spawn locations.
Yeah.
To be clear, they'll have the same enemies no matter what. It's deterministic, but just the slight variations in where they spawn can be different.
And sometimes when the pellet posies are too close, you end up having to throw more Pikmin or, you know, like rethrow Pikmin or something in order to actually get the result that you want. Because, yeah, as you see there, one Pikmin tried to pick up one of the pellets, and it didn't really lose time in this case, but sometimes, like, if you're too focused on whatever else is happening, it might slip past you, and then
The
you
split
lose time.
isn't too complicated in terms of like the game plan, but it is surprisingly technical in terms of like making sure your Pikmin all do what you want, because you have a lot of instances where you just throw a bunch of Pikmin off to the side and expect them to do what they're supposed to, but if they're positioned wrong or you're not keeping an eye on them, they can be lazy, as we say, and not pick something up or latch onto the wrong thing. And that can definitely cost a lot of time.
Thankfully, we aren't playing Pikmin 1, but yeah, that is definitely a thing that happens a lot in this game as well.
Yeah, for sure. That's sort of like the entire experience of the Pikmin 1 speedrun, and we get to see it in small bursts here in Pikmin 2 and the above grounds.
Anyway, so TCB, as the wall is getting pushed down, is actually pushing all of the Pikmin on the wall closer over to the nectar, just so a bit of time is saved in actually moving them over to the nectar.
It also makes the nectar a little bit more consistent if they're like bunched up a little bit. Prevents the infamous one guy stealing the entire nectar that I'm sure every casual player of this game has experienced.
Yeah. They changed that in Pikmin 3, and honestly, kind of not happy about it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's like Stockholm Syndrome. You kind of come to love it eventually.
Because once you learn how to actually, effectively do it, it becomes more efficient. So it kind of has a neat little learning curve to it. Looks like a pretty good Hola Beast 1 layout that we have going on here. At least the treasure is fast, but looks like we won't be getting many bug bodies as a result. Because that's what tends to happen with some of these earlier caves is the sub-level, you get the treasure faster, but then you don't get as many bug bodies, so it kind of evens out.
Yeah, exactly. So this is technically best possible treasure spawn, but if you get technically worst possible treasure spawn, you can get about 10 or 11 Pokos worth of bug bodies here if you're good with your Pikmin management. So that doesn't sound like a lot of Pokos, but it definitely adds up. It definitely makes some things a lot more comfy. It isn't really worth it, to be honest, because worst possible layout does lose about 10 seconds, so that's like a 1-to-1 Pokos per second ratio. But it definitely feels nice to sort of go into the late game with like a comfortable amount of Pokos. It means you don't have to like wait for inopportune bugs in later floors.
For sure. But definitely, if you're playing like all treasures, getting that kind of layout is always kind of a mini pop off that you'll end up doing,
Absolutely,
because
yeah.
it
You
is
do
just
not care
faster.
about bugs in all treasures, yeah. Eddie doing something here that a lot of people would probably do casually, but is just really good game sense, which is only throwing the leaf reds into the purple flowers. That we won't have that long to see the effects of that because we'll be able to nectar all of our Pikmin on Hola Beasts 4, but that's just a good thing that will speed up 3, make it a little bit easier to play.
And speaking of 3, this is a pretty straightforward sub-level. You kind of just run and grab the treasures, but it definitely is one that it feels like sometimes you just aren't going fast enough on. Well, if you're not like completely in the mode. TCB setting a purple Pikmin on fire for luck, I presume, but also triggering a cutscene. So Not
Yeah,
quite sure
that's
if that was the
actually
best play here.
it's sort of an antiquated strat at this point of intentionally activating the fire cutscene on this sublevel. That cutscene can definitely mess you up if you activate it later. Like, it's not uncommon to see that cutscene for the first time on like Subterranean Complex 3, for example, which is a much more difficult floor.
Or
And the
even
little lockouts
BK2,
can, yeah,
Bullback's Kingdom
BK2 for
2.
sure.
You'll
The
see
little
that.
lockouts that happen before and after the cutscene can definitely mess you up on some of those harder floors.
In Subterranean Complex 6 especially, I've had a couple times where I've gotten a fire cutscene on there and it's not very good. If a Dweevil decides to be a little bit angry.
Oh yeah, the fire dweevils. I was thinking, like, are there fire dancers on 6?
Yeah, what Urban says in chat, it is fine to get it in Whole of Beast 3 because you don't really lose anything from it. Unless you happen to not get a fire cutscene throughout the rest of the run, in which case, oh dang. But
Yeah, but that's fairly rare even for top runners. It's just rarely fast to skip all fire everywhere.
yeah.
It's very likely that you're going to have at least one situation where
And
Pikmin's
here
gonna
we
be caught
have
on fire.
TCB doing a little, well, not a trick, but you can tell by the layout of this floor where there will be Mitites in one of the alcoves, and that allows you to A, get a bunch of bug bodies, and B, get nectar for all of your Pikmin. But it looks
Exactly, yeah.
like Teddy actually did a misread and wasn't exactly sure where the Mitites were, so that's going to be a bit of time loss, unfortunately, there.
Oh, both of them didn't quite know it.
Mhm.
So the rule for any casual players in the audience is that you see the sort of tile thing on the floor. If you go to the opposite side of the room from where the tile is, and then check the alcove there, or if that alcove is full, then you sort of just go clockwise around the room until you see an empty alcove. That's where the Mitites will always be.
Yeah. Anyway, so TCP going on to Whole of Beasts 4 with the Empress Bullblacks fight. He's going to be going for a strat known as Fast Empress. Basically, if you swarm your Pikmin onto Empress Bullblacks just right, you can get a very quick kill on her. Looks like he doesn't quite get Fast Oh no, never mind, he does. I stand corrected. So he gets the one cycle on Empress Bullblacks, and that is definitely probably about like a 15, 20-second time save around
Hard to
there.
say how much time it saves exactly. I suppose we'll see because Teddy's not going for it.
Yeah, Teddy does some good damage to Empress, but still has to wait for the time that she spends rolling around, which
Yeah.
is a bit unfortunate. But still, actually, a pretty fast Empress.
Yeah.
As far as
This strat that Teddy went for is like a consistent 2-cycle that will never be longer than 2 cycles, essentially.
yeah,
Like it's kind of the strat that a lot of people who are new to the game will learn initially, just because Fast Empress is kind of, I wouldn't say inconsistent, but it's very vibes based. And if you don't have the vibes yet, then it's better to just do the consistent thing.
yeah. Urban in chat says it's 12 to 15 for the fastest strat, and then 8 to 10 for the side strat. So yeah, that's the amount of time save. It's some nice time save, you know, save those frames, but it's not exactly the end of the world if you don't get it. Kind of like how Louis Skip was at the beginning of the run.
Yep. Yeah, so we have a lot of these consistent or mostly consistent time saves in the run. But of course, the name of the game is RNG most of the time, cave sublevel layouts, and how well you're able to adapt to unpredictable circumstances. So there are multiple minutes to be saved or lost in the rest of the run, so it's really not the end of the world whether or not they choose to do the small fast strats.
But basically every boss in the game has some sort of quick kill that is used inside of the speedrun, which, you know, it's always cool to just kind of see the bosses. And for a lot of runners, it kind of becomes an issue of once you learn how to do the quick kills and start doing them enough in runs, you kind of don't know how to actually fight the boss like normally without doing the quick kill instead.
Yeah, the only boss in the entire game that doesn't have a serious quick kill is Titan Weevil, actually.
Yeah, which is the final boss. And even that, there are definitely a lot of strategies that go into that boss fight.
For sure, there's definitely like a fast strat, but it's not like a quick kill in the same way that Empress or the Snagret or Emperor Bullblacks or something is.
Anyway, Teddy actually runs up towards the blue onion here to Well, Giant Bread Bug does have a quick kill, Curtis, just not in Payoff Debt.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Giant Bread Bug does have a quick kill if you're good at managing bodies on GK6.
That's
Kappa.
true. Maybe you're just bad. I think is the point we're trying to get at here.
No, it's okay. Don't worry, Curtis.
What do you mean, SBU? That's the quickest kill, is when it doesn't spawn. It's already dead.
Is it dead if it never lived to begin with?
That's very philosophical.
I don't know. Ask the U.S. Supreme Court or something, or
Yeah.
don't.
Or ask, probably like a 6th grade biology teacher can tell you that, to answer that question, probably. Anyway, it looks like this is one of the faster layouts for a White Flower Garden 2. Not the fastest, but definitely a good layout. This is definitely one that I would be happy to see in a run that
Yep,
was
this
already
is
doing
this
well.
is a very average layout. TCB actually getting some extra bug bodies here, which is something that's kind of rare on White Flower Garden 2, at least to be able to do without losing any time. Just because it depends heavily on where the treasures are and where the blowhogs are. But yeah, Urban, this is like average to bad. I honestly like 80% of White Flower Garden 2 layouts are bad, in my opinion.
Yeah, White Flower Garden 2 is actually a pretty bad sub-level. Just having Petrified Heart that close to pod is honestly just a nice thing to have. But
For sure.
yeah, it is a far treasure spawn on the cap, so not the best.
So TCP is entering White Flower Garden 3 here, so of course this is White Flower Garden, we're gonna get White Pikmin here. These White Pikmin are almost half of the entire supply of whites that we grow in the entire run. So the name of the game is going to be to keep these alive at almost any cost. Flower them as soon as possible. We're going to flower them on this floor, actually. I see he's choosing not to do early wisp.
Yeah, there's
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a strategy that's early wisp, where basically you just throw a Pikmin over to the wisp to make it, to basically make its movement patterns more convenient for you once you have the white Pikmin going. Because what we do here is we have the white Pikmin start digging up the treasure, and then once the rest of the team starts getting on the dig, we then take the white Pikmin so that way we can flower them.
Exactly. And yeah, so if he had thrown one Pikmin over here for early wisp, the wisp would have been just a little bit closer to him. It only saves about 1 second, but it definitely makes the split a lot easier, at least in my opinion.
So let's see, are we going to have any Pikmin thrown at the top bar over here for good luck?
Oh, none from TCB.
Yeah, it looks like TCB isn't even going for it. What a shame.
You can get your horoscope by throwing Pikmin up onto that bar. If you get 2 or more, that means you have good luck. If you get 1 or 0, that means you have bad luck and you're guaranteed to soft lock.
Yeah. Thankfully, we're running patch, so no soft locks for us.
Yes,
but
the gods do not control our fate today.
We have killed God
God is dead. We have patched him out.
Yeah, exactly. Teddy also doesn't go for a throw. Wow. Are these even Pikmin 2 runners? Like, is this like a Pikmin 3 run or something? Are they playing the wrong game?
Curtis, I'm sorry to inform you that your horoscope opinions are wrong.
So White Flower Garden sub-level 4 is actually going to be the first layout, or not layout, sub-level in the game where we actually skip a treasure. That mushroom right there, you have to actually dig it up out of the ground, and also it is not worth a large amount of Pokos. I believe it's only worth 40, I want to say.
20, I believe.
Is it 20?
It's
not a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, considering that you have to watch the treasure cutscene for it, and you know, spend Pikmin on getting it, it's just not worth the time investment.
It's 30. Okay.
30.
So we were both close enough.
we averaged out. Yeah.
But yeah, and another thing that is benefited by not grabbing this treasure here is actually there's about 8 seconds of time loss that is played when you complete a cave and it has a little cutscene that says you've collected all of the treasures. But if you don't actually collect all of the treasures in the cave, then you don't have that cutscene, so you save about 8 seconds. So only the first 2 caves you actually get all of the treasures in, just because all of the treasures in those caves are so valuable and are pretty fast to collect as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, as Pi is saying, just lockout skip. The lockout skip is actually a strategy that is used in all treasures, where you basically you register the treasure as being collected in the overall game, but not within the realm of the cave. It's very weird. This game's weird, but it makes it so you don't have to see that cutscene, but you still collect the treasure.
Yeah. The reason we don't do that in Pay Off Debt is because you don't actually get the money for the treasure when you do that. So of course, in Pay Off Debt, the goal is to get money, and we don't want to skip the money.
Yeah. It's better to just skip the treasures, because, I mean, it does the same thing, only you don't have to carry the treasure back and watch the treasure cutscene.
Yep.
So, what's really the point?
Okay, TCP's remembering to save here, which is good. So immediately the next thing both runners are going to be doing is early blues, which is that trick we mentioned at the beginning that normally has a chance to softlock. For the sake of the tournament and, fair competition and all that, we're using a patch to make sure that nobody can softlock. But there are some other ways that you can mess up the trick anyway, and you only really get one attempt of it per save file. So good that the runners are saving here just in case one of those other things where they've messed it up happens. They can always retry.
Yeah, so you see here that TCB is throwing some Pikmin onto the dice over there. Just a nice, easy treasure that you can pick up. Just throw some Pikmin at in your downtime while you're doing other stuff for some easy pokos.
So what just happened on TCB's screen is that he was standing on the scale while a cutscene played, and so the scale kept moving during the cutscene, but your captain didn't. And so the end result of that is that you're under where the scale was once the cutscene is done playing, or once you skip the cutscene at the end, and that is the only known way to get out of bounds currently, or rather, one of only 2 known ways, but both ways involve using the scale.
Anyway, so TCB in the blue onion area now, starting to raise up some Pikmin, and is moving a squad over to the Snagger Hole area, which will be the next cave that we... Not usually the order that you do things in the game, but neither is clipping into the blue onion area and getting blues on this day.
So just in case anyone's unfamiliar with the glitches in Pikmin 2 speedruns, we're abusing the knapsack that we just got in White Flower Garden here to just get carried up slopes. This is fairly straightforward to do if you want to do it yourself, if you've never done this before, just to stand in the right spot and knapsack. The only exception is this one here that Teddy is about to do, which requires you to get carried to the blue onion when it's in this area, or the yellow onion if you have that. But yeah, it's basically just you nap in the right spot and you get carried up some terrain because Pikmin pathing is very naive in where it chooses to path you.
And Teddy gets a much better actual knapsack up here. It takes TCB a couple of tries to actually get a blue knapsack, because how the actual knapsack works is it doesn't just, it's not a 50-50 of bringing it to red or blue. It actually determines red, yellow, or blue, and since we don't have the yellow onion unlocked, if it goes to yellow, it defaults to red instead.
Exactly,
Which is why it's actually more likely for you to get red, which is the bad carry, as opposed to blue. It's a 2 and 3 for red, while it's a 1 and...
Yep. Teddy here choosing to grow 20 blues, I believe, which is quite unusual. Normally you would only grow 16.
Yeah, having the extra blues is just a nice safety, but it also is a bit of extra time spent here, so pros and cons.
He skipped one pallet, so he's only growing 18 here, but that's still a bit more than usual, so definitely an interesting play. That will save a little bit of time later on. Not that much, though. We'll see.
And Snaggart Hole 1 is a pretty simple sublevel. Basically, what you do is you just lure the Bulborb to be closer to all of your Pikmin, so that way you have an easier time defeating it, as well as less time spent actually carrying it back, since the Bulborb move speed is a fair bit faster than carry speed in this particular instance.
For sure. Snaggart Hole 1 also has another treasure that we skip. It's the feather that's sort of up past the exit hole. It's worth, I think this one is worth
It's
20 or
worth
30 as
10.
well. It's
worth
10. Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It-
Yeah, but all of these like really small treasures you basically skip 100% of the time just because the treasure cutscene alone makes it not worth it.
Now we're on to White Flower Garden 2. The first real, or not White Flower Garden 2, sorry, Snaggart Hole 2. I'm getting my TKH confused. The first real run killer of the run for many. It looks like it's not exactly a great layout.
Not fantastic, very interesting layout though. I usually don't see the strawberry spawn in the middle of this room here. It's quite unusual to see this spawn point.
At
But
least
sadly it
there are
doesn't mean it goes
no-
all the way around the spiral.
At least there are no mums in the way of the treasure carry, which is always a nice thing to have, because it's not a huge deal. Usually all you do is you just kind of throw one Pikmin at them, and they die, basically.
Yeah.
Or they
Yeah,
get
for sure.
distracted, I should say, and don't really worry about your Pikmin every day.
Yep. Ooh, TCB kind of struggling a little bit with the enemies next to this white candy pop bud. It's definitely kind of a sticky situation over here. It looks like he's just sort of distracting the enemies himself and then getting them off camera. If you don't know, enemies that are off camera, most enemies that are off camera in Pikmin 2 will just completely deactivate and they won't move, they won't attack, they won't do anything of the sort.
So, well, it's either off camera, but if Pikmin are close enough to the enemies, then the enemy will also start doing stuff, because otherwise you would just carry things through and just have no problem. So it's
Yeah,
balanced that
yeah.
way. So that is why TCP actually throws his whites kind of across into the area where the Chrysanthemum will not walk to, so that way just he doesn't have to worry about losing any of those Pikmin.
Yep.
Now on to Snaggart Hole 3. This is a pretty interesting floor, because you kind of have to actually read it in order to play it fast. If you don't know where the hole is to the next sub-level is, or like while you're doing it on the come down, you definitely lose some time of trying to find where the correct gate is.
Yeah, so from here on out, for most floors, the runners are going to be really, really like peeling their eyes during that brief come down animation where they're falling down into the cave to try and see where things are. Usually, most runners will skip this cutscene after like roughly half a second, so
Yeah.
really not that much time to work with in order to figure out where things are. But you know that's what you got to do in order to go fast. And
'Cause
it's really great seeing some people who know score really well read this. You know, from just the briefest moment, they can tell where everything on the floor is.
Because it's definitely you got to strike a balance between, you have to have knowledge about what you're doing, but you also still have to continue to be fast, right? It's kind of that you have to find your in between with that when it comes to come down, and that's
Exactly.
the interesting part of the game. And because of that, also a lot of runners actually turn their brightness up on their actual monitors or TVs up a fair bit when they're doing Pikmin runs, just so they can see a bit more while they're on the come down. Just have that slight advantage there.
Absolutely. So if you've ever watched a Pikmin stream and seen it's really bright, that's probably why.
Anyway, both runners actually getting the water projectile cutscene from the watery blowhogs on this sub-level.
Yeah, this is a bit of a sticky situation here. That first cannon beetle that fell from the sky has one of the treasures we want. It's a very valuable treasure.
TCB
But the
reset.
way it's placed... Oh, TCB reset? I didn't even notice.
Did he get his Pikmin zapped? I didn't quite see what happened. I presume he got his Pikmin zapped because there was a electrical
Yeah.
gate right next to, or not, an electrical wire hazard.
That cannon beetle was sort of right between a watery blowhog and an electric gate, and it's really easy to like C-stick your Pikmin
Yeah,
onto the cannon beetle or onto the magnet, and then like the runoff Pikmin, when the carry fills up, they can run straight into the electric gate.
It looks like he lost some whites and purples to the border from the kill, so TCB's not slight but not huge lead either. Moderate lead that he had here is kind
Ooh,
of
he just
lost a
lost a
bit as
couple more
well.
whites as
I
well.
think he lost 2 whites and a red, it looked like, from that water blowhog.
Yep.
And that white Pikmin almost just tripped into the electricity. It was almost but it looks like there shouldn't be any more deaths for TCB.
Interesting consequence of playing a set seed race is that he can reset the floor and the layout will be exactly the same. So he will just know where everything is immediately, which would not normally be the case if you were doing a normal random seed unpatched Pikmin run. So definitely kind of an interesting situation that you don't find yourself in most of the time. But as you can see, he was able to play the floor really quickly on the second time through.
So although he did have to reset, it's not as much of a time loss as you'd initially think for a reset, just because he has that foresight.
Exactly. Moving back to Teddy here, Teddy's been playing SH5, which is one of the only like completely unreadable floors in the entire game, because both of the treasures are in enemies. So just because of how the cave generation algorithm works, you can't really like know where the treasures are going to be just based on other characteristics of the level. And so you basically just have to rush killing the antenna beetle so that your gauge starts working again, and then run around until your gauge goes off for the other one. And that's just how you have to play it. It can be a really brutal floor sometimes, especially since the gauge signal from one treasure can sort of mask the signal from the other one. Thankfully, it seems like this layout is fairly easy, but this floor has killed many a run.
Teddy also blazing through Sniper Hill 6. Sniper Hill 6 is a very polarizing floor for sure in the Preoptet run, because it has a treasure that's the Stupendous Lens that can be dropped from an enemy and is worth 120 Pokeballs. Very good. But on the downside, you also have one of those antenna beetles messing with your gauge, so most of the time you don't actually get to get that treasure, and you just kind of deal with the consequences later.
Yeah, there's kind of a philosophy of whether you should search around for it a little, or just run straight to the exit and only get the treasure if it's on the way. There's different opinions between different runners here, which is one of the reasons this is a really interesting speed game in my opinion. But yeah, it looks like Teddy did not get it, and he also sort of didn't get the one cycle kill on Pileated Snaggart as well, just barely missed it. Which is just something that could happen if you don't throw your Pikmin fast enough or something. So it happens sometimes.
It looks like TCB is kind of fishing that lens, but unfortunately doesn't get it right there on the seed, so loses a bit of time to that. But if he had gotten lens, it would have been a big save. Poco-wise, just being able to having a net of 120 Pocos is very helpful in a run, because it means you have to collect a lot less bug bodies, and or you can skip a treasure or two later down the line.
Exactly, yeah.
TCB actually getting the quick kill on the Pileated Snaggart, though. It's the one cycle where he doesn't actually jump into the ground.
Yep, that's always good to see. He does get a slightly less favorable treasure bounce, though, so the I guess the physics calculations from where the treasures land after you kill the Snaggart are completely random. It's not determined by the seed. So
as well as the actual movement of the Pileated Snaggart itself, because it did.
Yeah.
The enemy did move around, so of course the treasure's not going to drop in the exact same spot as a result of that.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
anyway,
looks like
Teddy now on the Enter Black's Kingdom split, probably the tightest split, or the tightest above ground split in all of Preoptet.
Yeah, I would probably say so. It's not the most punishing, but it's definitely the most, like, action-packed, I would say.
There's a lot of things going on that you have to be aware of as you're doing the split, which which can make it rather difficult. And how unfortunate, Teddy gets 3 red pellets, which is the worst luck you can actually give with pellets here, because the goal here is to raise up blues, because blues are really what you're going to be using for the rest of the run. You kind of don't need reds anymore at this point. But by getting 3 red pellets, he's going to have less blues than potentially TCB might get a red pellet or a blue pellet or 2, which will allow him to have a bit more blue Pikmin going into the parts of the run.
You can still grow enough blues this way, but you just need to be a bit more careful about getting all the little add-ons and making sure that the pellet posies here are blue. It looks like Teddy actually missed putting a blue Pikmin on the big Bulborb there,
It
which...
looks like he threw it onto the treasure that was coming instead, the Sunseed Berry, which is going to lose him a fair bit of blue Pikmin as well. And it looks like he didn't catch that mistake.
Yeah, that's going to cost him a good bit of time in not the next split, but the next above ground split in Valley of Repose. So we'll see that coming up in about 10 minutes or so. But yeah, so it is recoverable, but it's...
TCB does get 2 blue pellets, but also one of the pellets flies under the bridge because the physics in this game always vary jank, which is unfortunate because I believe that's less Pikmin. No, I think he still gets more Pikmin from getting the 2 5s than 3 reds.
He still gets more. TCB will get 8, or the 2 blue. It's 2 blues, right?
Yeah, so it's 10 versus 9.
Yeah, it's 10 versus 9. That's...
So 1 more Pikmin. But TCB will also be getting the Bulborb into the blue onion. Will be a nice recent blues as well. Thankfully, it was the red that flew under, though, because only having 8 blues there is kind of sucky.
For sure.
You want to get as many as possible.
Yeah, TCB struggling a little bit with this knapsack. This knapsack is a little bit precise, and it's definitely quite punishing if you mess it up at the wrong time. Oh, it looks like he was able to recover from that one. Normally, if you have a cutscene that happens either right before or right after you do the knapsack, you can't like cancel the nap in time, and you can get carried off of the log. Thankfully, that didn't happen to TCB this time, but that's another thing to watch out for if when you're playing this split.
So Teddy now actually properly enters Black's to be. Oh, looks like a bit of lag on this. All right, it's back now. But yeah, Teddy entering Black's Kingdom, which is our final cave in Awakening Wood. Final cave doing it. We're not wizards making caves appear out of thing. Just for the
But yeah, so this is another floor where you just sort of lure the Bulborb that has the 1 treasure. You definitely want to get the Bulborb's body here. Same with Snaggerdoll 1, just because these big Bulborb bodies are worth 7 Pokos each, which is a pretty nice chunk of change.
And plus getting the extra small Bulborb's body is also a little bit extra.
Yeah, that's an extra 2 as well. It's definitely good to have. But yeah, oh, it looks like TCB got globe glitched actually, which is kind of a rare glitch that happens with the physics, where sometimes some of the Pikmin who are carrying the globe slightly clip under the bridge and will like unattach from the globe. This means the globe gets carried slower, but also that those Pikmin get kind of left over here. They don't die because you enter the cave instead of end the day, but not having them in Black's Kingdom can be pretty devastating if it's a large number.
But it looks like TCB just opts to go back and grab the Pikmin behind, which it was about, I believe it was 9 Pikmin that were left over there, so that's definitely a worthwhile. I personally say 9 Pikmin is worth going over there.
Yeah, I would tend to agree.
Help in Bulblax Kingdom, because Bulblax Kingdom is a tougher cave for sure to play fast at the very least.
Also, TCB is doing an old route, actually. I didn't notice this before. I guess this is the first time we would notice it, but he actually nectared his Pikmin here, which is the first step of an old route where we used to do Valley of Repose above ground a little bit differently, such that we didn't have time to nectar there. I believe Teddy is doing new route.
Yeah.
So that means he didn't nectar in Awakening Woods here, so he's saving a little bit of time here, but he's going to have to do a sort of separate segment in Valley of Repose where he nectars later on. So they'll even out a little bit after this cave, but I suppose just keep that in mind, and we can cover the differences when we get to the Valley of Repose above ground.
And also the slight downside that Teddy has with the new route, of course, is not having the flower pick going into Bulwark Kingdom, which doesn't really affect the gameplay too much, but it is definitely something to keep in mind when directly comparing against someone who does have those flower pick.
It does make the cave a little bit harder, especially on sub-level sticks, but ultimately it doesn't make the cave any like overall slower if you're playing it correctly.
Also interesting Bulwark's Kingdom 4 that we have where, well, not super interesting, but just, you know, you always gotta read the layout.
Yeah, this is one of those split layouts that's really difficult to play, especially if you don't really get the feel for it early on. Teddy being extra cautious around this electric gate here, which is the correct play for sure.
Because electricity isn't insta-kill in this game.
Yeah, and he made sure to wait for the cutscene to play before trying to take it down, because if you're taking down an electric gate while the cutscene is playing, then you can definitely get messed up by that.
Yeah, because even though the rest of the game pauses with the cutscene, the electric gate actually continues its cycle through the cutscene, so you can lose some Pikmin pretty easily doing that. Anyway, so now Teddy nectaring up some of his Pikmin on BK4, definitely with the extra downtime he had while the treasure was being collected, which is definitely going to help just the next couple of floors. Flowers are always better than leaves.
For sure. And this is a really nice Bulwark's Kingdom 5, actually. We just skipped this floor because the treasure here isn't worth that much, same as usual.
Unless you're Max, but...
Unless you're Max. Yes, Max loves to get his anxious sprout. But yeah, so good 5 because the hole is quite close, which is it's usually quite a bit further than that. So always like to see that.
And also the 4 is actually a bit interesting here just because although Teddy opted to go over to this area with the Wollywog and collect the Unknown Merit treasure first, TCB actually goes over to the area with the Glint Beetle and collects the crystal treasure instead. Which I would say neither one is really like directly faster than the other. But getting the Wollywog treasure first does allow you to get the Wollywog's body into the ship, which is a bit of extra money, but also TCB getting the Glint Beetle treasure allowed him to get the Anode Beetle bodies, so it's
Exactly,
roughly
yeah.
even.
Important to note that you can't really tell which of the enemies is going to be in which spot. You can kind of read where they're going to be just based on the room spawn points and stuff like that, but you can't know which is which. So it wasn't really a conscious choice to go for the Wollywog first, or not, for Teddy. Ooh, Teddy losing a few Pikmin there, and he's already kind of low on blues.
But thankfully,
I'm losing some purples.
I was gonna say, thankfully it didn't look like any of them were purples or whites, but then immediately loses some purples to the whole board. Thankfully, this is the very end of the cave, so although it is a loss, it definitely doesn't sting as much as it would if it were on like sub-level 1 of the cave, where you have to play through a lot more with a Pikmin deficit.
Yeah, yeah. TCB playing this 6 kind of unusually, sort of rushing this first treasure and then scouting out. Ended up being kind of a smart choice because it is a split layout.
Anyway, so we actually have some really interesting tech here on BK7. Emperor Bullblacks, of course, a relatively tough boss, and actually we have an interesting strategy for actually defeating this boss quickly, where we throw a bunch of purples at it.
Yeah, the quick kill for this boss is just throw purples, and that's the whole quick kill.
It's such an easy quick kill that I had my friend play this game for the first time like a year ago, and he got to this boss, he killed it, and he was like, "Wow, that was pretty cool." And that,
As we always like to say, that is the boss of Pikmin 1, so if we have any Pikmin 1 fans in the chat, there's your final boss that was oh so difficult in Pikmin 1, destroyed without even looking at it, basically. So this is one of the few instances where we actually use a knapsack exploit in a cave here on BK7. Normally they're quite rare just because of how caves generate, but this room tile has a spot where we can use a knapsack exploit to basically avoid like running up through this sort of center bridge with a bunch of fire geysers on it. Normally it's meant to be sort of a test, of course, of your fire immunity ability that you get from bullblacks.
yeah.
But we can just nap up the side and skip all of that.
And that also allows us to get the treasure moving before the treasure from the Emperor Bullblacks gets brought in, which just it saves plenty of time because you don't have to get the treasure, run over, and then start picking up the next treasure and have it walk all the way back to the pod. Instead, you can just kind of multitask and have them both moving at the same time.
Yeah. The limiting factor on this floor is absolutely the further treasure here. And you definitely want this further treasure because it is one of the most expensive treasures in the run. Worth 250 Pokos.
If only we got some of the really expensive treasures that are in Wistful Wood inside of Payoff Debt, but of course, those are all post game. I feel like the game is kind of the game devs once they said, all right, money doesn't matter over here. Let's just kind of make everything worth a lot. Why not? And
Exactly,
that's what
yeah.
they did.
They put a lot of thought into balancing things in sort of the early and mid game, and then at the end it's just like, no, it's alright. We can just we can make treasures worth 1,000 and just put them in random spots in Wistful Wild Caves.
Yeah, at the end they just kind of like I feel like the game devs like for each sub level just decided, all right, we're gonna have our kids come into work and we'll let them pick their favorite enemies and we'll make a sub level based on those enemies.
Yeah, a lot of the caves in Wistful Wild definitely feel very spammy with the enemies. Thinking of, is it Hole of Heroes 2 or 3 that's just like, what if we put like 10 of every blowhog and
Yeah.
also a ton of gates?
And then there's what's it, Dream Den 13 that has like the one with Boss Stone that has a bread bug and like bull bears and like a bunch of different hazards.
Urban in the chat as the AT runner in the room. And yes, of course, Cavern of Chaos 8 that just has, I think, 57 or something like that dwarf red bulborbs and 2 grunks, and that's the 4.
I'm sorry, Pi and Urban. I'm not an AT runner. I don't know these things. It's hard to remember. There's so many floors in AT or in Wistful Wild. Yeah, 44 blues is definitely not a lot going in here. Missing that Red Bull board being brought in earlier is definitely uh, gonna hurt.
Ooh, Teddy didn't choose to take or to leave any purples behind for these eggs. We'll see if that works out for him. If he gets Mitites from these eggs, this could potentially have disastrous consequences. Looks like he's fine here. Yeah, so this is that tutorial treasure that we skipped earlier, and of course, collecting it because we skipped it earlier immediately ends the day. So if there are any Pikmin that are not in your party at that point, they will just be killed, essentially, because they're, not with you when the day ends. So this can definitely kill runs. It actually killed one of my runs the other day. If you get Mitites here, that can sort of disrupt the flow of the split. Counteract that, of course, we normally leave some purples behind, so you can instant kill the Mitites if they do pop out. You can see TCB has done that. He is actually doing New Route. Just chose to Flower Blues in Awakening Woods for some reason.
Maybe just muscle memory.
Yeah, maybe muscle memory. Or maybe he prefers it for Bullbuck's Kingdom or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, because that's also what we do in the current route for AT as well. Is
It's true.
We get the blues nectared up there. All the stuff is a bit different there.
How does TCB only have 82?
Alright, Irvin.
I didn't catch it, but he must not have, because I didn't see him have any like disasters with growing.
Look like he just took out. Yeah, it looks like he just took out enough Pikmin to grab Grage Reactor and then be with him while he got the eggs. Which I think is actually kind of faster. So
It's not faster because even if the oh, did Teddy just miss a white on the ring? I think he did.
Did he? I think he got. Oh, he only did get 4 on there. Huh.
Yeah. Anyway, moving back to TCB, I feel like only taking out 20 is not better because the dig goes much slower, even if the carry can be faster. So, I suppose we could time that out, but I don't suspect it would be faster. For now, though, I'm interested to see what Teddy is going to do about not having that 1 extra white on the ring, because that ring, yeah, he's going to put it back. That's the correct play in my opinion. This ring weighs 5, and it would be really bad if he didn't collect it in this split, because there's really no other time to get it.
Now we see Teddy bringing the purples up.
Oh yeah, he has too many Pikmin in his party to C-stick them far enough. He realizes he has to... Yeah, he realizes he has to take this plug down because the 2 digging treasures definitely need to path through this area with the water. Oh, Teddy, oh no. There we go.
Yeah,
He's figured it out.
Just getting the purples and the whites. Neat enough. And so now those purples are up there for them to grab a treasure later. Just so you don't worry about doing extra Pikmin because, you know, the water's in the way currently.
So just having those Pikmin already ready to go definitely is very helpful. Being able to collect that treasure later.
Absolutely. Taking them around the other way is actually really difficult. You could probably find a consistent setup for it, but it takes a while. You have to wait for the plug as well to be down, which I suppose he was doing in this case anyway, but basically taking them around the other way is not viable.
But yeah, so we have the discussion in the chat going on. Basically, the reason why having a number too high makes it so you can't bring the Pikmin up is once there's a certain number of Pikmin, they start forming multiple lines instead of just one, and so the line doesn't actually extend out far enough. Thus, the Pikmin get where they need to be.
But yeah, it does look like TCB is actually sort of overtaken Teddy at this point, just with a slightly cleaner execution of the split, as well as, of course, having all of the requisite blues.
Yeah, not having all the blues at this point, really cool. And it's definitely, I feel like if I were to miss that Bulborb and then also lose some blues in BK there, I would probably reset or just doing runs on my own.
Yeah, I'm thinking I would probably reset that as well, or, you know, you would definitely have to play this split quite differently. So after all this cleanup of getting these treasures, oh, Teddy still didn't have that 1 extra white on there. I thought he put 1 more on.
I guess maybe he probably had the same problem that he had with the purples later, where he had too many Pikmin in the party, and so the white Pikmin didn't quite get far enough, and so didn't pick up the treasure. So that's definitely gonna be some time lost over split. While TCB already has all of his Pikmin ready and is heading towards.
Yeah, so Teddy, in addition to having to faff around with this for a little while, is also going to be low, about 5 whites, or exactly 5 whites, in the first few floors of SCX, which is going to be... It can be pretty painful depending on the layouts you get, but I suppose we'll see.
So I heard I was looking at the chat earlier, and SBU said that there is a crazy sublevel layout at some point here. So maybe it'll be in this cave that we're looking right now. I don't know.
Oh, I see.
I actually don't know what the seeds are. Well, SBU said it earlier.
Yeah, we do have the seed. The runners don't know what the seed is, of course. But we do have the seed to see the layouts. I personally didn't look at them beforehand, just because I think the surprise is fun. So on Subterranean
SBU,
Complex,
it's
level
okay.
1 here.
Oh, you mean you were meant to.
Right.
But yeah, we'll see once we get to it. I'm sure it'll be a pretty obvious thing. As soon as we see it.
Yeah, so on SCX1 here, the name of the game is to find this buried treasure called Nouveau Table. It's usually pretty easy to predict where it is based on score, which is like an internal heuristic for how caves generate. And of course using the treasure gauge. So both runners find it fairly quickly, it looks like, but it is a little bit far away. This is what we would call a bad SCX1.
The Pikmin actually start routing towards the poison geyser that wasn't destroyed, and that's definitely some lost time.
Yeah, a lot of the pathing on this floor can be really brutal sometimes. If you're not very familiar with it. TCB predicted this. TCB is a bit more experienced of a runner, so he probably expected that might happen. Usually you could just throw one white Pikmin on the geyser first, but yeah, this kind of thing happens on SCX1 all the time.
Curtis, I think what actually happened, the thing is there weren't any hallways, the rooms were just directly connected, so the actual difference between the two rooms that they were trying to go into, like, the area was unlocked. Unlocked is like what we call when it comes to Pikmin pathing, because if you haven't walked through a room or a hallway, Pikmin will not path through that room or hallway to get back to the pod or bug body.
So TCB is playing SCX2 at this point. Teddy's also on SCX2 at this point. This sublevel can be kind of scary if you're not used to it. Lots of bombs, lots of Jirachi bugs. The way we play this is just keep your camera low to make sure that stuff doesn't get loaded. And if you're fast about it and you load the treasures right, then usually nothing bad will happen. It does look quite scary though, because you have treasures pathing straight through bombs.
I mean, all of these bomb levels are always a little bit scary, but they're definitely something that feel a lot better once you used to actually. Wow. Speak of the devil, Teddy has a lot of Pikmin blow up over here. So
Yeah.
that's a reset for both players now, so, which is definitely bad for Teddy, as TCB catch up here. But thankfully, Teddy saved right after sublevel 1, so it's only sublevel 2 that is.
Yeah, the game auto-saves after every sublevel, so this is why we have the runners play with memory card, because it would be really sad if somebody had a DNF in a race like this. So TCB on sublevel 3 of Subterranean Complex. This is one of the more complicated sublevels in the run. There are 3 treasures here, and it's usually quite a large sublevel. So TCB is choosing to take most of his whites over to this spring first, and then deal with the other 2 treasures, which are together second, which is not how I would have personally played this, but you know, to each their own. One of the nice things about Pikmin speedrunning is that there's usually not like an objectively correct way to play any given sublevel. There's lots of different styles permitted here.
And it's definitely a thing where, you know, you don't immediately know what is exactly happening on the entire floor as soon as you start it, so you don't really know, you know, if this is the best play, or there might be some weird shenanigans going on the other half of the floor that you haven't seen yet, where it actually would have been smarter to have the whites come with you to come get a treasure or something along those lines.
Exactly, yep. So yeah, I think TCB must have taken whites to the spring here, assuming that the gear treasure would be closer than it is. Sadly, that's not the case, but, you know. Pikmin 2 has a lot of twists and turns, a lot of unexpected stuff happens in this game.
I am very interested to see how Teddy is play this sublevel.
Yeah. One thing to note is that this is a very spread out SCX3, so it's very difficult to sort of gather information about it from the come down here. Teddy's choosing to grow whites here, which is interesting.
I probably agree with it, given that Teddy is relatively low on blues, and just having more Pikmin is going to having the extra whites is alleviate that at least a little bit.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree, just because it's like a big floor as well, so... Oh, Teddy's also making the smart play of going to the gear first. That means he can do the combat while... the combat with the cannon beetle while the gear is moving. And of course, Teddy is also benefiting quite a lot from having red Pikmin here. Normally you don't have reds in SCX, but because he chose to take some in, he can just throw them on the fire geysers and leave them be, which hugely helps on this floor. This is basically the only time in SCX where where it like seriously helps to have reds, but if you get a really bad like fire geyser spam floor like this, it absolutely helps. It's so nice.
Normally, it's actually your worse off to have reds, because in order to switch around your Pikmin, you have to, on average, cycle. There are times where you'll have to cycle through 2 Pikmin types instead of just the one to whichever type of Pikmin you need, and so you will occasionally lose some time to that.
Yeah.
Or
You can cycle through pretty fast, but in the heat of the moment, it is actually kind of difficult to, remember exactly how many times you need to press the D-pad to get to the type of Pikmin you want, especially since you can go 2 different directions with it.
It's not as much of an issue with Subterranean Complex in particular, but definitely Frontier Cavern, which is the next cave we will be going to. There are definitely some moments where, not having the quick switch can be the difference between your run being alive and your run going just down the garbage disposal and being completely unrecoverable.
For sure. So TCB is entering Subterranean Complex 6, which is easily one of the hardest floors in the run, or at least can be. Again, we have 3 treasures, but we just have really dense spam of Drigibugs and Anode Beetles and Weevils. And Poison Geysers, yeah, so it's a pretty rough floor, especially if you get a bad layout for it. This layout seems relatively average, as far as I can tell.
It looks like TCB is just getting the first treasure in with all of the Pikmin, so that way he has the advent of all of his Pikmin to do the rest of the floor. Not personally what I would do. I would probably just take out the anodes and leave a couple of purples to take care of the treasure, because the one or two, or like the 2 or 3 purples that are on the treasure don't really mean that much in combat. It's definitely diminishing the amount of purples that you have. They're useful in combat. It's nowhere throw so fast.
Exactly, yeah. TCB, of course, is playing it kind of safe, though. I'm sure he doesn't want to have another reset. Loses 1 purple to take out an Anode Beetle.
Actually, TCB playing this really well, getting the 2 bombs onto the ground and noticing that nothing is really going to be in the way of the treasures, so he goes ahead and deloads the dirty bugs and gets all the Pikmin onto the treasures, because they'll be able to get through.
I think that was a really smart play to sort of synchronize the bombs and then just move through between bomb throws from the Digibugs. So Teddy basically doing the play that we discussed there, only leaving a few purples and a couple whites on the big screw treasure there, and then just immediately going in for the other ones.
Ooh, losing a white to the anode, not the worst thing in the world, considering that he grew some whites on SCX3, considering that he's low on his whole run. Definitely something that we're happy to see.
Oh, this is sticky.
Loses a purple as well.
Checking in with TCB real quick, he's on 7, which again is one of the harder floors in the run. SCX is kind of full of them. Dealing with a friend of ours that we very, very affectionately like to call Romeo, the roaming groink, by kindly convincing him to walk off into a pit of death. Yeah, Romeo runs around the floor and cannot be deloaded like other enemies, so he's a bit tricky to deal with. Luring him off into the void like this is kind of one of the canonical ways to deal with him. Using Purple's Fright is kind of slow. Looks like this is a really good layout, actually. Looks like all the treasures are over here, if I can see correctly.
Teddy finishing up SEX6, lost a couple Pikmin, but definitely salvaged through everything. Took care of all the enemies that were in the way. Slower than how TCB played it, but still definitely played that sub-level well, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. Just making it through SEX6 without any major catastrophes is like sometimes that's all you can manage. It's a really hard floor, especially for, you know, if you have low whites, if you have low purples, if you're just less experienced, if you don't claw grip. There's so many things that can make SEX6 really difficult.
Also, definitely having reds in your party is also not exactly the happiest thing to have, because again,
For sure.
you have to cycle through weirdly. That definitely throws you off. Quickly get whites onto the poison geysers or get purples to throw the rigid bugs.
So I'm curious to see how Teddy reads this floor. It looks like Romeo is being a little bit nicer to Teddy. Teddy using a really good strat to deal with Romeo here, which is just leaving a captain in a specific spot. So Romeo, if Romeo walks over in that direction, he'll basically see the captain and then just walk off into the void on his own, trying to chase the captain. So this is a really good way of dealing with Romeo. Also sort of enabled by the fact that Romeo cooperated a little bit more. We are playing Set Seed, but so Romeo's position when the floor starts is determined by the seed, but his AI will be different for both of the runners, just depending on how they play, like in the moment RNG calls. So that's something that's different, and it definitely enabled Teddy to play this floor a little bit faster, but it also looks like he was able to read the floor a little bit faster as well.
Anyway, this is actually a
over to the other
very
side.
good SCX7 that we have here. All of the treasures just right in the same area, very nice and tidy. Ooh.
Yeah, this layout is genuinely fantastic. Oh no, his Romeo lure didn't work.
Yeah, his Romeo lure didn't work and definitely lost a bunch on the tape, so that's another reset for Teddy. Definitely not looking the best for Teddy as we get into the later part of the run.
I wonder why that happened. I wonder if there was another path around into the spawn room there.
If I had to guess, Romeo probably just went around a different direction, around to the spawn area from a different hallway entirely, and
Yeah,
didn't really
I guess so.
captain control.
This is why we hate Romeo.
This time, he decides to just fall right off, so hopefully no catastrophe happens.
Yeah, as we said before, he can just go straight in and play the floor like an absolute madman because he knows where everything is, and of course it's all right there. He is having a little bit of trouble killing Juliet. That is why we call him Romeo as well, because we have Juliet up on her tower over here.
Well, it's more that we call the other one Juliet because of Romeo.
Yeah,
Romeo
it's sort of a
came first, and Juliet. Oh wow, it's on a tower. It's so perfect. So it's kind of you make one joke and then you kind of run with it, you know.
Worst name? Sorry, Urban, that's the wrong opinion.
Yeah,
Moving on then.
the worst name is the Urban Deer, according to this Google search I just did.
Ouch. Anyway, moving on. TCB is in Frontier Cavern now. Frontier Cavern 1 is, I wouldn't say a super difficult floor, but it can definitely, like, play games with you. It has a lot of, what are they called? Doodle bugs. I was about to say, like, dweevil bugs or something. Doodle bugs, these little poison bugs that can just really, like, sit on treasures and give you a hard time. Thankfully, it looks like that's not happening in this layout. But yeah, I guess if you run around a little bit more and make more noise, I suppose, metaphorically speaking, you can definitely get messed around by this floor.
A lot of fighting going on in chat. What else do you expect? But another interesting about this floor, actually, at least to me, is that
some of the plants on this floor actually contribute to the score of the floor, and I believe this is the only floor where that's the case. So just it's a little
Actually,
harder to read because of that.
technically speaking, it's not really plants that do this. It's some of those doodle bugs I mentioned spawn as plants.
Is that actually how it works?
That is actually how it works, yeah.
I knew it was something weird because I know there are plants like in the section where enemies are on the
Or
actual.
wait, no, it's the other way around. Sorry, it's like
Yeah.
it's some plants spawn in the spawn points that the doodle bugs use sometimes, but there are also some doodle bugs that spawn as plants.
Yeah.
So it's like this weird sort of situation where they like messed up the spawning categories for some of the things in this floor.
Or maybe they did it on purpose, to make it more unpredictable. Who knows? I didn't develop this game. I just played something usual.
It looks like we have a very unusual FC2. Oh wait, no, this isn't unusual. I saw the wrong thing on the corner of my eye. I thought it was a split layout for a second, which is very, very rare. Yeah, it does happen occasionally, but yeah, I've maybe seen it like 2 or 3 times over the course of like hundreds of attempts of this game, so one of the rarest things that I've seen in person.
Not as rare as the thing that happened like yesterday, but
That's true, yeah. I see they're making fun of my name in chat. Okay, I forgive you. This is a pretty good layout though, because there's sort of like a middle room spawn, it looks like. Or was this a middle room spawn? Yeah, this is a middle room spawn.
so yeah.
So FC2 is
you go.
FC2 is one of the floors where you can actually skip a treasure occasionally, depending on the layout you get. If you get Stupendous Lens earlier in the run, and you get like one of these really small FC2s where one of the treasures is up on a stump, you can just choose to skip it, and that is actually one of the few valuable skips in the run besides Aquatic Mine.
I guess Nouveau Table is a treasure that was skipped. Yeah.
That's a bit more rare of a skip, but it can happen.
There's some layouts. Yeah, you get some weird split layout stuff. Need it, I have lens.
Ooh, TCB getting a few of his whites eaten by the bull bear on FC3 here. And yeah, Teddy is struggling a little bit with the doodle bugs, like I mentioned. If you just make, you know, walk around a little bit more and activate them, they can really give you a hard time. Yeah, coming back to TCB, FC3 is one of the harder floors. I say this about every 3 treasure layout, it's just like one of the notorious ones that's difficult to play properly. But yeah, it is 3 treasures. You kind of have to get a really good score read on FC3 to sort of know what your game plan is, especially on a layout like this that has like 2 or 3 sort of primary directions you can go and check stuff. So if you're not like really confident where you're gonna go, and if you need to split up at the beginning, then this floor can take a long time. It does look like TCB is just playing this relatively safe, sort of just going everywhere with his whole squad though. Not trying to do any splitting up shenanigans or anything.
Teddy also actually opting to raise some purples over here.
Oh, that's unusual. Did he lose some in a spot that I didn't see?
I think, well, he did lose, I think, 2 purples in SCX 6. It was either 1 or 2. I was quite very much going on that sub-level, especially when you have 2 games to look at.
Yeah, it is kind of difficult to keep track of both of them, isn't it?
That's why chat's here.
That is why chat's here. 17 going into SCX. Yeah, okay. So if he lost a few here and there, then I would understand if he wanted to grow some for comfort.
Especially having less blues again, so just having more of the valuable Pikmin is a bit of a blessing for that.
For sure. Looks like this FC4 that TCP is playing right now is actually a really nice layout. This floor can be, it's kind of up there with SH2 in terms of it can just sort of mess you around really hard if you get bad layouts. But this is a very kind layout, all things considered. There's really not that much in the way between you and the treasures. You can get layouts on this floor where there's just like about 800 trillion anode beetles and snitch bugs between you and the stuff you need to get, and there's basically no way to play it at that point besides just kill everything, which is, of course, very slow. Killing stuff takes time.
It's very interesting to know how many floors the devs just want to put anode beetles on and make that kind of the main hazard of the floor, because it's a relatively common thing, at least compared to a lot of other enemies.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's like they sort of realized late in development that yellows weren't that useful, and so they just spammed a bunch of electric hazards in places.
Maybe. Anyway, so TCB now collecting the treasure. Frontier Cavern 5, of course, this treasure is a bit interesting. It's actually a upgrade treasure. However, the upgrade doesn't really change that much, at least in the payoff that run, just because it makes it so your captain's attack when they aren't throwing a Pikmin is a bit stronger, but
it does make you lose slightly more time if you press A to enter a hole a little bit too early.
Yeah, I guess that is true.
Which is it's the developer intended purpose of the treasure, of course.
But it's also slow, and that's bad.
Yep.
Teddy also opting to get Golden in here. It's probably the right play. Allows him to race some more Pikmin later.
Seems like he kind of had to in that sort of situation. It would have been slow to try and wait for the running Boldman to get out of his way.
That, and also at 75 in this party, so boosting those does
He'd be going into FC7 here. Looks like this is a really nice layout, actually. We have one really close treasure right out of the gate. This is another floor that can just be like lots of enemy spam in certain situations. Thankfully, it looks like it's not lots of enemy spam in this case. It's a split layout with one close treasure, so he can just focus all of his effort on looking for the one buried treasure here. And then, you know, max dig the buried treasure and max whiteload it on the way back. We definitely like these easy to play FC7s.
very nice to just have a bit of moment of just like not stressing out as side of the run.
Exactly, yeah. And he's taking all this time to get a bunch of bug bodies as well, which is absolutely the correct play here. FC7 is one of the most important floors for bug bodies in my opinion, just because there's so many of those big bulborbs, and there's so many little bulborbs as well. Like, you can easily make up huge bug body deficits on just FC7 if you're careful about it.
I agree. Teddy Ursa getting a little tripped up by the bomb right on the over here. Just kind of part of how the game is.
Yeah, the bombs can definitely frighten away a lot of people, and if you're not confident, it's basically always better to just be safe and back away from the bomb. You can definitely get away with just letting the treasure outrun the bomb in a lot of cases, but as you saw earlier, he's probably kind of scared from what happened on SCX2 when he got all of his Pikmin blown up there. Yeah, TCB leaving FC at this point with 8,061 Pokos, which is kind of low. Normally the checkpoint we're looking for is about 8,070 to 8,100 for sort of being on pace. So personally, I wouldn't say this is like disaster levels of bad, but he definitely has to focus more on getting bug bodies in the next two caves because this is the last two caves in the run.
TCB now landing inside of Flexing Pool. This is going to be, of course, the last area of the run. Where this is really like the real like late game. Where a lot of people really where we're almost done and we're just kind of wrapping up, getting the last couple of caves, getting some treasures.
Absolutely, yeah. These two caves are also some of the weirdest caves in the run. Citadel of Spiders has... It's the only cave that like prominently features a lot of gates in Payoff Debt.
Yeah.
And Glutton's Kitchen has bread bugs, of course, and a lot of just sort of odd layouts that you have to play weirdly. And of course, it being the last cave, you can play it much differently from the rest. You can play a lot more reckless.
GK is a very, very weird cave.
For sure.
Teddy Ursa fumbling a little bit, not quite sure where the Lil is. FC6. The biggest time loss in the world, but definitely hurts a little bit. It kind of stinks when you don't confidently know exactly where you need to go.
Yeah, for sure.
Levels like that where you're just running through.
Looks like TCB is choosing to get Love Nugget here, which is a backup treasure you would get if you're really low on Pokos. It's kind of a judgment call where if you're low on Pokos out of FC, you would get Love Nugget, but I don't know. Personally, I wouldn't say he's that low that he needs it. But if he's not confident in his ability to get a lot of bug bodies, then I can definitely see going for that for comfort.
Especially because it definitely was a pretty decent Love Nugget. The spawn, there are times where Love Nugget is really just not viable to go for.
Yeah, it was about average. It wasn't like truly terrible, but Love Nugget is generally not that efficient to go for, so it's almost always better to skip it, even if it means you have to farm bodies a little bit. So on Citadel of Spiders 2 here, kind of a weird floor where you have these three treasures and just a bunch of guys in the middle. Looks like with this seed we have a gated exit, which is probably the second best configuration besides nothing is gated, which can happen sometimes. You kind of just need to make sure that you're getting that gate loaded as soon as possible. Or not as soon as possible, but like as soon as you're confident that all of the treasures are sorted out, because it can take quite a while, especially considering that we only have blues here instead of reds.
And definitely having a gate on the exit is going to be better just because you go to the exit later than you go to the
Exactly, yeah. The absolute worst configuration of this floor is when you have that duck head treasure that's gated, because you need to dig that treasure, and of course you need to go to it first, essentially, because it's a treasure and you need to get it before you go to the hole. So Teddy's done with FC now.
Yeah, Teddy heading out of FC with 8,090 Pokos. It's definitely a fair bit more comfortable. The bug bodies.
Yeah, 8,090 is a very comfortable amount of Pokos to have, and wow, this COS3 is looking really strange. There were a lot of hallways just on the side.
I think this was the floor that was being talked about. This is definitely a rough FC.
Yeah, this looks like... Right, so this is gated shell with potentially gated patience tester as well. Remains to be seen. Yeah, it's just these gates can really mess you up in Payoff Debt. When you're playing all treasures, it's honestly a little bit easier because you have spices. Spicy sprays make dealing with gates just so much faster. You can just hit the spicy button and absolutely like blow the gates down.
Yeah.
But here you definitely have to you know, plan out the gates a lot more like rigorously, just because they take so much longer.
TCB also has some whites currently buried, so it'll be interesting to see if he goes back and decide. Or yeah, looks whites. Or
So Urban, you're kind of pointing out that gated alcoves with quote-unquote nothing in them will always have the treasure. That is, as far as I can tell, always going to be true, and that's because the way the game places gates is it specifically looks for alcoves that have stuff in them. So whether that's eggs or treasures or something like that, it will always try to place a gate in an alcove that actually has something in it. If the alcove is completely empty, well, first of all, I don't think it can be completely empty because it will just like fill any completely empty alcoves with eggs at the very end. But even if there was like a completely empty alcove for some reason, the gate would, or the game would try very hard not to place a gate in front of it.
and since this is one of those floors where you don't have any sort of like bomb rocks or eggs falling from the ceiling, which in that case, there may be a gate in front of that particular object, and you just don't see it until you actually get close.
Yeah. This is actually one of the few floors where you have falling queen candy pop buds, strangely.
Yeah. Very odd thing.
But there's sort of a weird situation with falling candy pop buds where they're treated a little bit differently to other falling treasures, or not treasures, sorry, to other falling things. So that's a bit of an exception to the rule, but basically the principle still stands that you'll never see something empty with a gate in front of it. So TCB just running through COS 4. We just skipped this floor. There is an optional treasure that we can get there sometimes, but it didn't look like it was good.
It's very rare that you get a layout like
Yeah, the treasure in question is called Time Capsule. It's only worth 70, so in order to get it, for the sake of skipping Aquatic Mine, which is worth 80, you would first need to be really good on Bug Money, and Time Capsule would need to be like very easily collectible without losing basically any time, just because it's usually a lot less efficient than just running through the floor on its own.
Yeah, generally what you're looking for a good time capsule is for it to be in an alcove that isn't gated, that's on the way to where the cave is, to where the hole is, which is behind a gate. In which case,
Yeah,
usually you have enough
yeah.
time to load up the treasure and get it in while the gate is being knocked down to the hole.
Yep. PCB getting a pretty fast kill on BD Longlegs here, or BLL, as we tend to call him.
Losing some purples, though, unfortunately, which isn't a huge deal this late into the run, but definitely something to bear in mind.
Yeah, it probably won't hurt that much. GK is usually fine with low purples, I say from experience. But yeah, it will definitely sort of... It'll hurt if he loses more purples in GK. If he has any small electrical disasters in GK, then he could find himself with kind of low purples at the end of the run.
And, basically the real thing is if you can get through GK5 without much pain, that's kind of the limit on purples. Ooh, Teddy saving that purple that almost just went to the electricity.
I would actually say GK4 is worse, just because you need to kill the bull bear, and doing that... also doing moge throws as well. Doing the bull bear and doing moge throws with low purples is really painful. Yes, I did finish the race the other day with 2 purples at the end. Don't at me about it. Ooh. Eddie having a little bit of an oopsie moment here, losing some whites to the Anode Beetles on COS 3.
TCB, of course, grabbing Aquatic Mine, just a pretty standard treasure to get in most runs.
Yep, this is the treasure we would skip if we got Lens or TC or some other bonus treasure.
Yeah.
saves about 40 seconds to skip this. So if you weren't getting it, you would just book it straight to GK, Clinton's Kitchen, right after COS.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting lens is, I don't know, what would you say the odds of getting lens is? Like maybe 20 to 30%, something like that?
Yeah, it's probably around that range. I'm sure Urban knows.
Yeah.
TCB messing up the knapsack a little bit on the Enter GK split and having to deal with the AM cutscene as a result.
Yeah, ouch. That always hurts a little bit. This is the last knapsack exploit in the run, so it's definitely kind of frustrating to get cutscened on this one.
TCB struggling. Hopefully, in the next knapsack or two, he'll actually get up, to, be able to get the enter into BK or into G. Yeah, no, GK, not BK.
There's a
But
lot
they
of
both are
acronyms that
knapsack
sound
ends.
very similar.
Yeah, very annoying.
But yeah, that knapsack is it's not that hard per se, but the timing for it is kind of tight, so if you're just like not feeling it that day for whatever reason, then it can definitely sort of throw you for a loop.
It's definitely harder in AT where you have rush boots from Empress 2 before this.
Mhm. Ooh, Teddy's sort of fumbling around with BLL a little bit.
Not losing any purples, it looks like, though, so
Yeah,
that's
Teddy is really comfortable with purples though, so he could probably lose like 5 and still be completely fine. So, looking to see what kind of GK2 we have here. It looks like we have, I don't actually know if this is worst possible, but Teddy got really lucky with that bread bug. If the bread bug spawns that close to that treasure, it can just grab it and basically instant bread bug you, and there's almost nothing you can do about it. You just have to be really quick on the draw if the bread bug is like that. But thankfully the bread bug went the other way and didn't see the treasure. That's definitely going to be something to look out for Teddy when he enters this floor. It's really unfortunate, but sometimes in GK you do just get insta bread bugged with a bread bug spawn right in front of the treasure.
That's definitely the unfortunate part of dealing with red bugs here is sometimes they just take a treasure to kill them, which definitely you lose a fair bit of time, probably about like 20 seconds for killing
Yeah.
one bug. So according to Urban, GK3 is the weird / bad layout. According to SBU,
I see.
not clackerless, thankfully, but
So this is xylophone room, but excuse me, xylophone room spawn, which is it's like a split xylophone room.
yeah,
Xylophone.
very not fun.
Split layouts on GK3 are actually really unusual. So I actually agree with SBU that this is a weird layout.
Urban's just an old man who's been running this game for too long.
Seeing everything.
Yeah. Looks like, wow, TCB just kind of avant-garde running past this Puffy Blowhog, just going for the deload.
And it's not really paying off for him there.
The treasure gets across though, so all's well that ends well, I guess. And doesn't lose any Pikmin to the anode as well. Very quick gameplay from TCB.
Yeah. That was a very like Wild West GK3, the way he played that.
Yeah. Very much talking about the philosophy of kind of you can start to get a little bit riskier once you get into GK because it's so late into the run, and you know a couple Pikmin losses isn't going to lose nearly as much time as it will if you lose it in say SCX, where you
Yeah.
have 3 caves ahead, where that Pikmin loss will be affected.
It looks like Teddy just got kind of trolled by the snitch bug here, trying to do the GK knapsack. It stole his white Pikmin.
They do that sometime.
sorry for laughing, but that's just very funny and very sad.
Alright, well, I still think actually Teddy takes less time to actually get up to the area than TCB did, even with the snitch bug mishap.
Yep. So it looks like we've had no moge throws, is that right?
It looks like this is a no moke throw run, no moke seed for either GK2 or GK4.
Yep. So for the uninitiated, moge throws are, well, they're throws named after Moge, who discovered them. They're basically precise throws to throw purple Pikmin up to these high spots that are in these certain layouts, where normally you're meant to have yellows in order to get these treasures, but Moke found out that you can get both of those spots with only purples, and so you just don't have to get yellows.
Yeah, which is very nice. Of course, you still definitely lose some time as opposed to not having to do the throws.
Yeah,
And
it looks like Teddy is struggling with this bread bug, like we were talking about.
thankfully
Very,
it's
very
actually red
unfortunate.
bug whose nest is. Oh no, it is the one that's right there. Ah, that's a shame. Yeah,
Yeah,
2 whites to that. Not that the 2 whites matter too much at this point in the game, but definitely demoralizing if nothing else to lose those Pikmin like that.
absolutely. He dealt with the bread bug pretty fast though, so good recovery on that, but it's still going to lose him a good chunk of time. To be on to GK5, which you can play like a complete cowboy this late into Payoff Debt Run. Just run through, you know, if some bull bears want to eat some Pikmin, just let them, it's fine.
Yeah.
But this floor is actually one of the hardest floors if you're playing a category where you're not allowed to lose Pikmin here. If you're playing No Major Exploits, Payoff Debt, for example, or if you're playing All Treasures, of course, then you have to play this floor very, very carefully and very safe. Whereas, of course,
playing Explorer's Kit, which isn't really a category that gets run as much these days,
but yeah, you tend to form these bull bear trains on GK5, which is kind of funny.
It's always very fun to watch the bull bears get crushed by the boulders from the cannon beetles around here.
Yeah, this floor feels very sadistic on part of the developers.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say rooted cannon beetles are some of the most threatening enemies in this game simply because purples can't stun them. So
Yeah,
you don't know exactly how to, you can't just spam purples and have that work because they can still retaliate even if you just keep purples at them.
absolutely. And they also stay loaded for quite some time. It's kind of difficult to properly deload them once you've loaded them once.
TCB entering our final sub-level, Glut's Kitchen 6, which is where the final boss of Payoff Debt, as it may seem, is fought.
Yes, the final boss.
Funny bread bug.
Giant
man.
bread bug. He's in chat too.
No. He's coming. Giant bread bug actually taking this anode beetle immediately, which is actually very good for being able to defeat this boss quickly.
Yeah, so what you want to do with Giant Bread Bug is kill some enemies as soon as possible. Like, as soon as you land on the floor, you kill some anode beetles. Basically just as targets for Giant Bread Bug to come and eat. Because you can lose a lot of time if Bread Bug decides to go take a walk.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that, like, he has every opportunity to go and do anything other than go take walkies.
Because unlike the regular bread bugs, the giant bread bug, you can't actually just throw Pikmin onto its head and be able to kill it.
Well, you technically can throw purples onto it, but that's very slow.
It's a pain. Oh dang, TCB losing some Pikmin on the egg here just simply because of the anodes getting in the way.
And yes, we do see Giant Bread Bug taking a walk, as it were.
It looks like he's gonna be grabbing this egg though. Yep, very nice. So TCB actually taking some Pikmin off the egg, so that way Giant Breadbug's AI will want to go for it because there are enough Pikmin for it to win the kind of tug of war that happens between the Pikmin and the Breadbug whenever he picks it up.
Yeah, managing this floor properly is really kind of a work of art if you see it done super well. It's
Yeah.
just you can kind of feather all the treasures in, get all the bread bugs to die all at once. Very, very difficult to do that properly, and of course it relies on some cooperation from the AI. But
The boss treasure also kind of slides away in an annoying way. TCB killing some Pikmin because it's the end and it doesn't matter anymore.
yeah,
And finishing with 21 Pokos over. So definitely probably could have gotten by without getting Love Nugget just by getting some extra bug bodies in some other places. But
yeah, or by getting Master's Instrument or something like that.
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, no,
And,
all things considered, it's not that far off this race.
yeah,
Teddy is only like maybe like 2.5, 3 minutes behind,
yeah,
which
uh,
I guess maybe sounds like a lot, but in Pikmin 2, that's actually not that much.
yeah. Because it's more the races tend to be like anywhere from like an hour 40 to 2 hours long. You know, it's actually not that unreasonable of a time difference.
Absolutely.
Also considering that Teddy had quite a few resets. Hello,
Right.
TC.
Didn't kill more Pikmin.
Oh,
Yeah,
and there he goes.
as Urban says, 2 floors apart is nothing, really. Because I mean, there are plenty of times where you'll have like the we've had community races where someone is done with the game and someone else is still in like the fourth floor Frontier Cavern or something like that. Kind of stumbling through. Yeah, it did come down to resets. I agree. With Heart Piece and Urban here.
Definitely did, yeah. There were a good few, like, disasters in this race, which, you know, you never really like to see that, but, you know, that's what sort of makes or breaks it.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, definitely very well played from both of the runners here in this race.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, even with the disasters, I think this was, like, pretty close for most of the way through.
Urban, just load up pod. It's okay. You can just like do a couple runs. It's only 10.
It's already 10, boohoo, it's 3 a.m. for me, Urban. Come on.
Yeah. Stream Blue Onion. So yeah.
Maybe taking a little bit of time here to kill some stuff, which it looks like he's... Oh, that's risky. Oh, wow, okay.
Only lost like 4 Pikmin, it looked like. 3 or 4. So
I'm
that'll like
ashamed to admit that I have done that, where I've gone for a really risky electric gate and just absolutely plowed my entire squad into the thing.
yeah. You know, because you definitely kind of get a bit more fast and loose on this later part of the game because it is the end and you just kind of want to get it over with a lot of the time.
Absolutely. Oh, and he has gotten red bugged because he didn't load the other treasure, sadly.
Yeah.
Or maybe
Very-
he's skipping it because he doesn't seem bothered by that fact.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't need the treasure. I'm not sure.
That treasure is only worth 35 Pokos, so if he went really high on bodies, then maybe he doesn't need it.
Yeah, it looks like he'll be fine. Just from
Oh yeah,
the
no, he definitely just got enough bugs. He doesn't even need the giant red bug body.
yeah, no, just needs the uh the treasure and getting up to that 10,000 mark. Yeah, I agree with Urban. The bodies were actually pretty good in this race.
Yeah, no, Teddy's body collection was really, really solid in this race.
For sure. And there we are, both well, not quite yet. Gotta wait till the till the little cutscene saying that the debt has been repaid is finished. But then after that, the race will be officially finished. It was very much out of sync, but I don't care.
So yeah, 152.53 for Teddy. I didn't see what TCB's final time was, but
It's
I
about
think
a
it was
146, I want to say. Or
146. Was it that long? I thought it was like
No, I think
148, 149.
149. Sorry, I don't
Right.
remember. It's been too long. It's been like 4 minutes, at least.
Oh yeah, his end screen says 146 though. So.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, he did have some console resets.
Yeah, he did have some resets, so probably 149 is about right.
Yeah. So that's the first race. TCB will be advancing. Let me check the bracket real quick, actually. TCB will be advancing and will either be against me or against Julian. Our race is in a couple days.
So look forward to that.
Teddy is still continuing on in the losers bracket, so has a chance to come back. We don't know who he's going to be fighting yet, but
It'll
you know.
be between the loser of those same two, either you or Julian.
Right.
So yeah, the next match we have is Kemi versus Julian, which will be at 3 p.m. on Friday Eastern Time.
So
Exactly. So look forward to that. But yeah, so once again, a huge GG to both of our runners here. Really good race here. There was a lot of interesting stuff going on in a lot of these layouts, and it was great to see how they both approached some of these weird floors differently.
Right, definitely the fun of Pikmin 2 is definitely having to kind of figure out what to do every sub level because no two are the same.
Exactly, yeah. There's so many like stylistic differences between the different runners because it's all very like analog and different, and there's never enough time to figure out what's the like truly optimal way to play a floor because you see a different floor every time. But yeah, so as I said, it's 3 a.m. for me. I'm probably going to be signing off here. I don't know if the stream is going to continue on for any length of time, but yeah, thank you for watching. Make sure to tune in for the other races in this tournament. We have a whole bracket of people who are going to be racing in the coming weeks. So, yeah, thank you very much.
Is there a link to the Discord we might want to drop just so people who are here but not part of the Discord see everything?
Yeah, I'll put one in chat real quick. That's the speedrunning Discord. You can just ask if you want to see the bracket or something like that, or if you want to know when the other races are going to be. If you're not already in there.
Yeah, if you go to the Tournament General channel, that's a public channel. In the pins, there's the bracket, a link to the bracket that you can see everyone. But yeah, I think that just about does it for me. I got some stuff to finish up for the rest of them, but this was definitely a fun time, a great opportunity to commentate over this race.
Yeah, great
Yeah,
race,
likewise.
everyone. We'll see you all on Friday at 3 Eastern, I guess. Thanks for watching.